From when the NHL was founded to the current NHL's memorable moments and controversial wins, these are the most iconic NHL highlights in history. First, it was when Pat LaFontaine won the Easter Epic.
Shifts hit a stick, comes to the line, LaFontaine shot, he scores!
The Easter Epic, which took place between the New York Islanders and Washington Capitals on April 18, 1987 at the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland, was the longest seventh and deciding game in NHL playoff history. The teams were tied 2-2 at the end of regulation. After a fourth overtime in which both goalies Kelly Hrudey and Bob Mason battled it out, Pat LaFontaine scored to put an end to the game at 68-47. Kelly Hrudey set an NHL playoff record with his astounding 73 saves in the game. Approximately 6 hours and 18 minutes after it started, the game finished at 1:58 a.m. Eastern Time on Easter morning, and everybody still remembers it as one of the longest and most exciting playoffs in NHL history. This time, the iconic first goal in history. The funny part was it was by accident. Billy Smith made history as the first goalie to score a goal by credit. A little over 5 minutes into the second period, Rockies defenseman Rod Ramage was able to recover the lost puck after Smith made a stop and kicked it into the corner. As a delayed penalty was about to be called against the Islanders, the Rockies were playing with their net empty. Ramage took possession of the puck and hurled a poor pass back to the point. It flew straight into Colorado's goal without hitting any of his teammates, and Smith was in the position when Ramage accidentally passed back the puck. He was the last Islander to touch the puck. That's why he was given credit for a goal. Denver became the home of some hockey history when Smith became the first goalie to have his name appear in the goal column of an NHL score sheet. For the following 8 seasons, it remained the lone goal a goalkeeper had ever scored in the NHL.
They say, well, you didn't shoot it. I says, it doesn't matter. I'm the first.
We are down to someone who got the winning goal with a broken leg. Sometimes players just pull off incredible feats that thrill fans. Defenseman Bob Baun missed Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final in 1964 because of a fractured leg. By some miracle, Baun came back into the game in overtime and gave the Maple Leafs the victory over the Red Wings. The Stanley Cup was won by the Leafs after they prevailed in Game 7 of the series. Baun was never likely to score a goal. His 17-year NHL career saw him become a hard-hitting defenseman who excelled in his end. Despite this, he only managed to score 4 goals in 1963-64 and never reached more than 8 goals in a calendar year. His amazing goal, which contributed to his club winning the Stanley Cup, will live on in the hearts of Maple Leaf supporters and hockey lovers everywhere. Next one. This one was one of the weirdest goals in history. Do you think it's out of luck, or did Kane just already do the math? Well, let's see. The Blackhawks won in Stanley Cup on phantom goal. The Chicago Blackhawks hadn't won the Stanley Cup in almost 40 years, but on June 9, 2010, a Patrick Kane overtime goal that anybody witnessed handed Chicago the victory. In 6 games, the Blackhawks beat the Flyers to claim the Stanley Cup in Philadelphia. The majority of the fans did not witness the puck in the net due to the shot's angle. Instead, they only understood the game was over when they saw the Hawks celebrating on the ice. The Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup when it was evident from the video that the puck had actually gone in. Ray Bork finally lifts the cup. Ray Bork spent over 21 years with the Boston Bruins, and during that time, he continually displayed exceptional skill, solidifying his place in the Hockey Hall of Fame. However, after taking part in almost 180 playoff games with the Bruins, Bork had never played for a Stanley Cup champion and was certain that his playing days were over. After being traded by the Bruins to the Colorado Avalanche in 2000, Bork eventually won the Stanley Cup in his final season of play. In that same year, Bork didn't travel either. He accrued 10 points and 4 goals in 21 playoff games. When it was Bork's turn to hold the Stanley Cup, he brought it to Boston, where some 20,000 supporters gathered for a gathering to commemorate the occasion. And we're up to Dallas Stars' controversial win. One of the most controversial goals in hockey history was scored over 10 years ago when Brett Hull of the Dallas Stars defeated Dominik Hasek of the Buffalo Sabres in triple overtime in Game 6 to win the Stanley Cup. The puck was outside the blue goaltender crease, but Hull's skate was inside it, which caused a dispute. When offensive players were in the crease that year, the NHL established a zero-tolerance policy. When Hull scored on his rebound to deliver the Stanley Cup to Dallas, his skate was obviously in the crease. For Sabres supporters, the goal should not have counted, and it continues to cause them pain.
I'm going to leave you with 2 words. No goal.
For Stars supporters, the goal remains historic. In any case, it was a historic moment for the NHL, But once more, the issue was that the NHL did not stick to its rules for this specific goal. However, the rule itself was the major issue from the start. Bill Barilko's last goal gives the Leafs the cup victory. Bill Barilko's final NHL goal, which ultimately went down in history as the stuff of legend, helped the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. Toronto won the 1951 Stanley Cup Final when Barilko defeated Jerry McNeil in overtime. Later that summer, Barilko and a companion departed on a tiny plane for a fishing trip. Barilko's body was not on the aircraft when it crashed. The Maple Leafs did not win another Stanley Cup during the 11 years it took for his remains to be found. Toronto ultimately won another title in 1962, the year that Barilko's death was found. Too many men sinks the Bruins. On March 10, 1979, the Boston Bruins finally had the Montreal Canadiens where they wanted them in Game 7 of the NHL playoffs. Boston, who had fallen to the Habs in the Stanley Cup Final the previous 2 seasons, led by 1 goal at the Forum in Montreal, with just a few minutes remaining in the game. With only 1:14 remaining in the game, the Canadiens tied it up on the power play when Don Cherry's team was penalized for having too many men on the ice. The legendary Guhle beat a defeated Gilles Gilbert with a quick pass-and-go goal. On a too many men on the ice penalty with 18 seconds remaining, Simon Gagner scored the game-winning goal. Alright, do you believe in a miracle? U.S. hockey team beats the Soviets in the Miracle on Ice. It continues to be the most spectacular event in American hockey history. The Soviet team, which had defeated an NHL All-Stars team in a 3-game series only a year earlier, was surprised by a collection of unknown college hockey players. It was like students versus professionals. The Soviet hockey team, captained by the Iron Curtain goalkeeper Vladislav Tretiak, was the overwhelming favorite to win the gold medal at the 1980 Winter Olympics in Lake Placid, New York. Between 1960 and 1980, the Soviet Union defeated the United States in all 12 of its matchups, winning 117-26. They had also won the previous 4 Olympic competitions. See, these Soviets weren't just any players, they were champs. The squad was shaped by coach Herb Brooks, who led them to triumph while fostering a shared loathing for him. On February 22, 1980, goalie Jim Craig contributed to the Americans' victory over the USSR. Team captain Mike Eruzione scored the game-winning goal, bringing the score to 4-3. The Americans defeated Finland 2 days later to win the gold. Any American hockey fan still gets goosebumps when they hear Al Michaels' last call, "Do you believe in miracles?" Yes. Okay, what do you think about these historic events in NHL history? Let us hear your final thoughts in the comment section. Please, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell for more amazing NHL content. Share this video with your family and friends, and please click the like button if you liked our video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.